Leon Marchand just had one of the most insane single night performances of swimming that I've ever seen. Marchand has traditionally contested 3 individual events at major international meets: the 400 IM, the 200 IM, and the 200 fly. He's owned the IM races with a pretty safe margin since he burst onto the international scene in 2022, but in the 200 fly, he's had to contend with Krzysztof Milak, who at his peak is simply untouchable in this event. Marchand was able to win himself 3 gold medals and sweep his individual events at the 2023 World Championships with Milak not present in the field. But another event that has been in Marchand's wheelhouse is the 200 breast. He has dominated this event at the NCAA level and has had strong showings at various long course meets. However, the event schedule never really allowed for him to swim both the 200 fly and 200 breast, so he's had to choose. But ahead of his home Olympics in Paris, the swimming schedule was somewhat controversially altered in order to give Marchand the chance to swim both events. They would still be the same day, just not as close together. Leon would still have stiff competition in both of these races, but if he could pull it off, he would achieve the extremely rare feat of winning 2 individual events in one single night. We've seen athletes win 2 golds in one night, but that's normally an individual plus a relay gold. Despite what some Hungarian coaches have been saying, Krzysztof Milak has been looking good this season and put himself as the #1 seed after the semifinals of the event. And in the 200 breast, after world record holder Chin Yang missed the final of the event, Australia's Zach Stubblety-Cook was Marchand's biggest threat to winning that race. Stubblety-Cook is the former world record holder and the 2nd fastest man ever in this event. Could Marchand do the unthinkable and take down both of these massive threats in their best events? Marchand kicked off his evening with the men's 200 fly in front of a booming home crowd. Milak was looking tough right from the start. Milak jumped out to a quick lead at the first 50, touching that wall in 24:32. Marchand was in second, and Marchand's former teammate Ilya Karun was third. These 3 held their positions for the next 2 50s. Marchand made up a little bit of ground on the second 50, but Milak made it back and then some on the third to extend his lead. If Marchand wanted to pull off the upset, he'd have to have something insane in store on the final leg. But after kicking all the way to 15 meters on the last turn, Marchand started thundering home, dropping the fastest closing split of the field. And Marchand touched first in a sizzling 151.21 for a new Olympic record. Milak held onto the silver medal and Karun maintained the bronze. That swim from Marchand vaults him up to being the 2nd fastest performer in history. Karun also makes it into the top 10 as the 8th fastest performer, as just one of a handful to ever break 153. Despite the narrative that surrounded Milak coming into these games, him getting beat here doesn't mean he had a horrendous swim. His time of 151.75 is still crazy fast. In fact, it's now the 8th fastest in history. That shows just how impressive this win was for Marchand, and now it's 1 down and 1 to go. Zach Stubblety-Cook is one of the fastest performers all time in this event. He was the first man to ever break 2:06 when he set the world record in 2022. That world record has since been broken, but he remains #2 all time. Stubblety-Cook is lethal on the back half of this race. Marchand will need to be ahead on the final 50, unlike his duel with Milak. Marchand did exactly what he needed to do at the very start of the race, taking a commanding lead on the first 50 in 28:42 as Stubblety-Cook touched in 5th. Marchand extended his lead on the second 50 as Stubblety-Cook moved to 3rd, but Marchand had the fastest split in the entire field once again on the 3rd 50 as Stubblety-Cook moved up into the 2nd position. With 50 meters to go, Marchand had a big lead, and Stubblety-Cook would have to make up some serious ground. Stubblety-Cook closed faster than Marchand, but it wasn't nearly enough, as Marchand won his 2nd gold and set a new Olympic record of 2:05.85. That moves Marchand past Stubblety-Cook as the 2nd fastest performer ever. Marchand completed one of the most daunting doubles possible, going against the current world record holder and then the former world record holder in the same day. With this performance, Marchand has become the first swimmer since Cornelia Ender in 1976 to win 2 individual golds in a single day, and just the 4th swimmer ever. Marchand's achievement here is also, I'd say, the only one without an asterisk next to it. Ender was a member of the infamous East German team of the 1970s that was under the effects of numerous performance-enhancing drugs, though Ender was not aware of the drugs like many athletes at the time. In fact, she was banned from the team in 1977 after refusing to take a drug. The other 2 athletes, Frederick Lane and Alfred Hejos, achieved their feats in the first 2 modern Olympics ever in 1900 and 1896. The asterisk next to their names, in my opinion, is the fact that the competition was much smaller back then and far less competitive than it is today. Marchand winning the 200 fly and 200 200 breast, both in Olympic record times, is absolutely absurd, and something I think many of us will remember for years to come. Which of Marchand's wins do you think was more impressive? And after seeing these swims, how fast will he go in the 200 IM? Let me know down below.